Welcome to the program. I'm Gigi Kopelak, and today my guest is a Pleasantville photographer, Ann Sullivan. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you very much.
You have become such a world traveler since you are doing this photography. I'd like to go right into it and start with your pictures that when you were in Australia.
Yes.
First of all, I love this first image.
Thank you.
What is it, a tree? Is it a...
It's a strangler fig, and they're very interesting in that what they do is they are transported by birds, and they start to grow on the tree where they're deposited, and they start to encompass the host tree and literally grow over it, both upward and downward, and eventually they take over the host tree and kind of take its place, and the tree itself within it dies.
Right.
In this picture, this strangler fig was trying to take over a boulder.
Right.
And
It
so
didn't know. It didn't know what it was doing.
It lent itself to a very interesting image.
Right.
This was taken in Lamington National Park, which is a temperate rainforest. And anytime you're in a rainforest, you have certain lighting situations to take into consideration. You know, you're trying to get good detail in your shadows without blowing out any highlights. So it was a little bit of a challenge, but it was worth the end result.
Yeah, no, it's great because
Thank
it's
you.
so interesting. Also, I love the fact that you do all this research when you take.
I love
when
that.
you, when you take photography,
Mhm.
and especially let's look at this next one. These crocodiles.
Yes.
That's a great image because it looks like you can't figure out how many crocodiles are in that picture. It's like bubble gum. How many crocodiles are in this picture?
I love taking images where you have to stop and say, what am I looking at? Or, how did that happen? I think it lends itself well to, getting excited about the work. This was taken at a crocodile park. These are saltwater crocodiles, which are the largest crocodiles in the world.
Are there freshwater crocodiles?
There are freshwater crocodiles, and there definitely are some in Australia. And they have more of a longer, thinner snout, more like a caiman. And I do have a picture of one of those in my series of Australia images. I just don't have it with me this evening. But in this particular photo, this was taken at a crocodile park, and the crocodiles were sunning themselves, and so they were literally piled on top of one another. And I just
so they're not getting much sun. The poor guys on the bottom aren't getting much sun.
Not so much, no.
Yeah. So Karen, why Australia? Is it someplace you always wanted to go?
It is actually. Since I was young, it always seemed, very inviting. It has these wonderful, amazing, unique animals. A continent that is that far away from anything else is going to have just these wonderful opportunities as far as nature photography is.
And you are, when you say nature photography, you are more interested in the animal, the insect life than you are about taking the landscape paintings.
Right. Yeah, I tend to gravitate toward, animals, and when I say animals, for me it doesn't have to be, the big ones. I actually love taking images of bugs and dragon and damselflies.
We will find out that you love to make it. Yeah, we'll see some of those.
But for me, I have tended to gravitate toward birds since I took a trip to the Galapagos in 2005, so I do a lot of bird photography.
Right.
I currently have a show at the Audubon at Greenwich, and that's actually ending October 28th, but it's been there since the beginning of September, and there are a large amount of birds in that series from Australia and Fiji. But I really enjoy taking primarily animals. Sometimes something will grab me, like the strangler fig, and no pun intended with the grabbing anyway. And it's just too intriguing to pass up.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the next image is this controlled burn. That's certainly, that must be amazing to get that.
It was wonderful. We were in Kakadu National Park, which is in the Northern Territory in Australia, outside of Darwin, a bit of a drive from Darwin. And the controlled burns, the purpose for them is so that the undergrowth does not get to the point where if there were a lightning strike and a fire were to be started that way, that we would not be able to, the government would not be able to control it exactly. So the fires are started to kind of be preemptive as far as that situation would be concerned as far as lightning. What has happened is the birds have realized that this is an opportunity. And so this image I chose to make black and white. The reason for that is because the smoke was a combination of gray and brown, and I thought it detracted from what I really wanted to show, which was the multitude of birds that were there, and at different levels. You could just see it's kind of a frenzy, and what's happening is all of the bugs and the small animals are being, scurrying away, trying to save themselves from the controlled burn, and these birds are seeing this as an opportunity, and it's an eating opportunity, and so they are there to eat, and
So they're not there. They're not escaping from this fire.
No, they are drawn to this fire.
They are drawn to the fire,
Absolutely,
which is so interesting.
Yes. They have adapted, you know, in whatever way they needed to put up with the smoke and the flames and the heat in order to feed from this. We were told by a guide while we were there that kites, which is you know, one of the birds that are in the image, have been seen picking up a burning ember or stick that's going out from a control burn that's going out and starting another one.
Isn't that amazing?
So they are very intelligent and have figured out how to continue this food source for themselves.
Yeah, and pick up something burning and start a fire.
Yeah.
That's like when they, what, in the line of what? What am I trying to say? Of life, you know. Who started the fire? It wasn't until Cro-Magnon man or something, right? And here it is, a bird has figured it out. That's pretty amazing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and then we have this, so we go from the black and white image to this beautiful, colorful image of this king parrot.
Yes. Yes, the king parrot was also taken in Lamington National Park, the same place as the strangler fig. They had a wonderful array of birds there. There were crimson rosellas, which are another kind of parrot. They had regal regent bowerbirds, males and females. And
it's all Greek to me.
they're all wonderful, amazing, colorful, unique birds.
Yeah.
And
well, that's why you're going there taking photographs of them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
this was taken at O'Reilly's, which is an inn, and it's well known amongst nature photographers. The birds flock there. That
that's interesting.
Yeah, tourists do feed them, so they are more easily accessible, which is wonderful. And so this was an opportunity, to get one of those.
I
really
love this one, because
birds.
he's posing for you.
Exactly.
I don't know. You say most of the birds go there. I wonder if they know. Now that we know how intelligent birds are, maybe this is something. Well, I'm going to pose for the camera.
Exactly. He was very cooperative, which was nice, and I used a little bit of fill flash in this particular image because I wanted his color to really pop. In this series, when I have shows, I actually display them on canvas. And I find that not only does that texture lend itself well to the overall nature photography, but the colors really become even more vibrant. Some of the black and white images actually almost take on a three-dimensional quality. And these are things that when I switched over to this way of displaying, I hadn't anticipated, but I'm really excited about the fact that it does exist.
Yeah. Let me ask you now, on your website, if someone would go there, would you have listed if you're going to have a show or something? So
Yes, absolutely. I update that on a regular basis. I also, if anyone would like to be on my mailing list, my email list, they can go to my website, which I don't know if you want me to tell it now.
Yeah, you can tell it now. We'll probably be showing it too.
www.KarenAnnPhoto.com. And you can sign into the guest book and just say, please add me to the mailing list, and you would get an email about any upcoming shows.
Okay, great. So now the next one again is a black and white. Is it the osprey?
Yes, this is a juvenile osprey. This was taken on the edge of the Yellow River, which is in Kakadu National Park. And we were there during the dry season, and that lends itself well to having animals, birds, and other animals alike come to the water source. So the water source is a wonderful way to be able to view images or create images and view animals that you might not otherwise see. In the rainy season, they're more dispersed. So this was a great opportunity. This is a juvenile osprey, and you can tell that because the plumage on its chest is not, has not fully turned into, adult feathers.
What makes you decide to make it a color versus a black and white image?
It really is. It's a choice that's made individually, image by image.
After you see, you're not taking black and white photography and taking color photography.
No. I take my images with a digital camera, and then I make that choice afterwards. In this instance, I felt that the bark on the tree had nice texture. I really wanted this image to be about the positioning of this bird's head and how he's surveying his land. Color is wonderful, and it lends itself well in a lot of different areas for photography, but what it also can do sometimes is make you just look at the color. And sometimes if you want the focus of a subject to be more detailed, or for someone to stop a little bit longer, I find that black and white is usually the way to go.
Okay, interesting. Because the next one is almost like a black and white, this great egret, but because he's so white, but yet you've got great detail in him, and then you've got, so it's like a green and white.
Right, right, so exactly. Yeah, high contrast, absolutely. And there's always a challenge with white colored images in photography to make sure, you know, you're getting your detail. So I was able to do that. I caught him literally at the moment where he had a fish in his bill, and you know, he had his neck elongated.
I love that the way you caught him, sort of on an angle, like it's if you close your eyes, it's sort of like an abstract painting or something.
Right, right. Yeah.
I mean, normally you take the egret with this.
Right. There's the standard egret, and there's a standard egret flying. Right. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but
it's nice to be able to capture something out of the norm.
Well, and talking about capturing something out of the norm, this next image is incredible. Tell us how you got that one.
I feel so fortunate to have been able to be in the right place at the right time. This, again, was in Kakadu National Park. I was at a bird observatory very early in the morning, and the way that the structure was situated, I was not able to see from behind me or above. So I was looking over a body of water, and you could only see what was coming from either side or was already in front of you. And I was having a conversation with a bird watcher and finding out what was in the area, what they had seen. And I had my equipment set up, ready to go for whatever may come along, which is often what you need to do in the case of nature photography. And I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and I had no idea what it was. I just knew something was coming from that direction, and I went to my camera, took one shot, and this was the shot. And what you're seeing there is two Gurney's eagles, and they are carrying a magpie goose off, unfortunately for the goose, to be breakfast that morning. These eagles are not found usually within the continent of Australia, but more so in the islands north of Australia going up toward New Guinea. And so when I first went to do my research to find out what it was I had photographed, I had a little bit of a problem. Now, sometimes birds in general, but raptors specifically, I find when I'm doing research about them, if they have juvenile plumage, it can be a very different color, and so it can almost look like a different bird versus adult plumage. So that's something that you have to look into as well. It did not fit the coloring or the you know, the shape of the tail and so forth. Did not fit any of the eagles that initially I found. So I had to do, you know, a little bit deeper research, and I was able to find these. This is, I believe, a mating pair. Raptors, you know, do work in tandem. Mating pairs do, and so I mean.
And you could tell that because of the claws.
Well. Yeah, you know, initially I said to myself, what am I looking at? Am I looking at some, you know, one trying to steal it from another? And then if you look at the claws of the eagle on the left, they are not open in an adversarial position. So it literally is the, you know, wingman, you know, for this kind of mission, this breakfast mission.
No, it's so interesting that you learn so much by doing this.
I enjoy doing the research and helping, you know, give information about my images almost as much as I do taking them.
You put that information when you have a show.
Yes.
You don't just title it, you also include some information about it.
Absolutely. It's a little bit of a catch-22 in that if you give too much specific information about where it is you take images, you have a responsibility also, you know, as far as an environment is concerned. You don't want to be the catalyst or the cause for an increase perhaps in, you know, an area having too many visitors or having the area changed because, you know, people then want to go there because, you know, they see an image. So I give information, you know, a general area as far as where I take it, but as far as what it is you're looking at, I feel it's very important for you to know what it is you're looking at. And then if there's something like with this particular image where there's a very interesting story that goes along with, you know, how you ended up taking it, I add that as well. So I include that below the images that are in my shows.
So you go to your show and it's educational and it's artistic.
I try to make it that way.
So this cute little koala. That is so cute. Did you get really close to him?
I did use a zoom lens. You know, this was in a controlled environment. You know, it was in an area. It was not out in the wilderness. It was in a you know, an establishment in Sydney, and he looks very cute and cuddly. Although I do not recommend trying to pet any koalas in the wild because they have very sharp claws, and especially the mothers are very very protective of their young.
I wouldn't pet anything in the wild. I don't think they like us. Well, that's almost like the end of our Australia trip, because on the way back you stopped at Fiji.
Yes.
And here's one. This is a beautiful image. I love how you get the negative space. You know, this bird that's strutting along, with looking off to the side, you know, giving him lots of space to look.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I mean, negative space can be used in a very, you know, in a way where it gives strength to an image.
Right.
You know, I really, this bird, it was another one that was very cooperative, and I did feel like he was, in a sense, kind of posing for me. This is a buff-banded rail, and they really are beautiful looking birds. This was on an uninhabited island that we did a day trip to in Fiji. And they kind of scurry below the brush, so it's kind of you really have to wait until they come out and give you the opportunity to photograph them. An interesting thing about these birds is they often, once they find a place to inhabit, and islands are often what they choose to do that with, they oftentimes become flightless.
Oh.
So once they, find a place that has, the correct shelter and food sources, then they no longer have.
They don't have to travel anywhere. They just stay where they are.
Right, exactly. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And so talking about the negative space, this next one, this crab,
yes,
which is
the ghost crab. Yes.
I mean, it would be so obvious to stick that hole right in the middle, you know, but you didn't. That's great. Yeah.
The ghost crabs, I mean, I like this shot very much because it's more of a macro shot in that you're able to see the specific grains of sand. You know, you can actually see colors in there that you wouldn't normally think. You know, you say, oh, it's a white beach, but if you look really closely at the detail.
So those are tiny little sand.
Those are grains of sand, yeah, which really there are probably more shell fragments than sand, you know, but, you know, it is what the beach is consistent of.
Yeah, it's just little pieces of sand, so you really magnified this one.
Right, I took it with a lens.
So how big is that crab normally?
The crab is probably only about 2 to 3 inches, you know, but probably more, closer to 2.
Including his...
Well, I mean, kind of, you know, the way that he's positioned in that shot. They're interesting in that they can see 360 degrees, but they can't see straight up, so they have to really be very wary of birds coming down and grabbing them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's, you know, the birds got to eat. Come on.
Yes, absolutely.
So now we're going to travel to Costa Rica. That's your most recent trip, isn't it? When you just got back from Costa Rica?
I was there in July of this year. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place. I highly recommend.
Don't recommend. And this squirrel. So now you go. Is this again in a park that you went to?
The trip was 10 days, and Costa Rica is wonderful for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is that it has such a diversity in the country. It has both Atlantic and Pacific coasts. It has rainforest area that is more temperate in Monteverde in the cloud forest. It has the Osa Peninsula, which is the southwest portion, which is even more wild, if you will. It has amazing surfing. It has a whole turtle area in the northeast side.
And it's only the size of West Virginia.
It is. It is absolutely.
And what did you say? 40% of it is.
40% of Costa Rica is preserved and is protected by its government.
And I had heard that it's got the largest population of retired Americans.
I'm not sure about that, but it definitely seems like a place that would draw a lot of people. I mean, the warm climate is wonderful. It has 10% of the entire world's bird population you can find in Costa Rica. A little over 800, right, for me, and 600 of which are indigenous and a little over 200 that are migratory. So it's just a wonderful, amazing place to find things, to photograph, and to be able to view. I was on a wildlife viewing specific tour, and it started off on the Caribbean side and worked its way across the country and ended up on the Pacific side.
Oh, wow.
So I was able to see, quite an array of topography and climate and diversity as far as the wildlife was concerned.
So you got the squirrel monkey, and then you got this great image of a hummingbird, and I never, you never see a hummingbird sitting.
I love hummingbirds. They're amazing. Yes, this was taken in one of the preserves within the Monteverde cloud forest region, and there is just a wide array of hummingbirds, and I wish I was able to capture all of them.
But how'd you get them sitting? They never stop.
Well, I have to say, there were feeders that were set up, and so, but if you watch long enough, if you watch a hummingbird long enough, what they usually do is come, say, to a feeder or to a flower, and then they go off, and if you watch them long enough, when they go off, they're going off and they're sitting on a branch that's probably close by. Right, they're pretty quick. You definitely have to have a pretty fast shutter speed going on.
But this one is interesting because he's got that white line.
Yes.
You wonder if that has something to do with predators, something to...
You know what? I'm not sure about that.
No, you don't have to answer all these questions.
No,
I know you know a lot, but you can't.
No, but it's wonderful. This is a purple-throated mountain gem hummingbird, and I think it's wonderful that it has such a long name.
It's bigger than he is.
Exactly, exactly.
But, and then we've got this other monkey, and I want to say this right, Capuchin.
Capuchin, right,
Capuchin,
exactly.
okay.
A lot of people refer to them as white-face. They're actually called white, the proper name is white-throated capuchin monkey, and they are large in numbers in Costa Rica. You know, you can find them.
They're traveling all around you as you're walking down the path. And
right, when you're going through the parks and preserves.
They're not afraid of you. Are they stealing your pocketbook?
I hear that they can do things along those lines. I didn't have that experience. Okay. No. Yeah. But they travel in troops, and you know, there's usually a large number of them. There are 4 monkeys in Costa Rica. There are squirrel, capuchin, spider monkeys, and then howler monkeys. Okay. And I was lucky enough to see all 4 of them while I was there, so I was very happy about that.
And you also saw a scorpion.
I did see a scorpion. Isn't he great?
You look so happy.
I was happy to see him. This image was actually not on a white wall. I know it seems that way, but I chose to increase my flash and really almost silhouette the shape of the scorpion because I thought he was so amazing. He was probably 6 to 8 inches in length. And
are they black though?
It was very, very dark brown.
Okay.
And this particular one, there are different kinds in different areas of Costa Rica, but this one was very, very dark brown. And I think he was just on the wall trying to see what he could find.
It was near a
light. No, it was right outside the room.
Oh, okay.
Near a light. So I think he was waiting for things to come to the light so that he could have some dinner.
Okay. And I love this about these leafcutter ants.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the leafcutter ants are wonderful. When you're walking through the rainforest, you can come across a couple of different kinds of ants. These are the leafcutter, and later on I think you'll be seeing some army ants. The leafcutter ants are great. They have a very developed society. Everybody has their job. And the larger ant in this image who's carrying the leaf, that is its job, and that is what it does. The smaller ant, however, that's on top of the leaf has a totally different job, and its job is a combination of guarding that leaf and making sure that nothing is coming, you know, from outside to get it, and also to clean the leaf. So it's kind of also catching a ride while it's going along. But it was really interesting to watch. I could probably sit and photograph them all day if I had the opportunity.
That's interesting. I love this owl butterfly. It looks, because that eye is amazing.
Yes.
That's his way of protecting from us.
Right. It's camouflage. I mean, you can see it blends very well with the bark that it's on. This is actually the underwing butterflies when they're at rest. You know, you can see their underwings as opposed to, you know, they often have very different patterning, you know, on the other side. The eye there not only scares off possible predators or other, you know, animals that might want to come after it, but it also, if something were to attack it and it went after that eye, it could often, you know, survive an attack. And so it would get part of its wing, but it wouldn't kill the butterfly. So yeah, I just thought it was really
amazing
wonderful.
The way things work, right?
Yeah,
isn't it?
absolutely.
This is this dung beetle. I love this because you've got this, you know, transparent kind of opalescent, I'm calling it, but I'm sure it's not a right word.
Yeah, no, you know, yeah, he's shimmering, you know, literally, you know, and dung beetles, I mean, they are what they are. They are very useful, especially in the rainforest.
And yeah, to be so pretty, and that was what he eats.
Yeah, no, he's iridescent, absolutely. And I really love that he had kind of this extension. It almost looked like a set of hands, this antennae that come out in front. And he really...
Maybe he doesn't want to touch anything.
Well, you know, again, these in the system of dung beetles, they all have their own jobs, and the job of these 2 beetles was to roll the dung. And
are there 2 beetles in this image?
Well, there's another one in the background, and it has a depth of field so that you're not really seeing it sharply. I really wanted the focus to be on the one that was looking at me and shimmering.
Right.
So, but yes, there are 2, and they were working together and to move this along.
Right, because the most important thing that you're looking for is not to really do a research or to tell the story of the dung beetle, but to make a composition. You're looking for the composition.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's a combination, but yeah, initially when I'm out there and I'm taking it, I want to have a true and correct representation of what I'm viewing. And I get so excited to be able to share these, you know, images with other people. And, you know, I do take images within the United States, within New York, within Westchester County, absolutely. And, you know, there are amazing things right here all around us. You know, if you just stop and wait long enough, something will come across your path. Absolutely.
You know, it's true. And sometimes we go on vacation, we come home and we drive by the reservoir. And what are we doing?
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
I like the name of this next guy. And you have to tell us why he's called a Jesus Christ lizard?
He is called a Jesus Christ lizard, and that is his nickname. You know, he's a basilisk lizard.
Oh, that's his nickname? It's not his real name?
Yes, it is not his real name, no,
okay.
but he's often referred to as that. And it's because he can walk across water. And he does so on his hind legs, so he does it, you know, upright. And he has a little bit of like a webbing, some flaps between his toes, which help him get that little more, you know, a larger proportion of footing. And it also kind of creates an air pocket under him, which enables him to be able to do that. And you know, he's pretty quick. He can go 4.5 feet per second.
Oh my gosh.
And so they call it Jesus Christ because he can walk on water.
Okay, that's so cute. And it was hard to find him, though, wasn't it? You were walking in the woods and you couldn't, you were with somebody, you were with a guide with this guy?
Absolutely. We had a wonderful guide with us who was able to point out things and even once he pointed them out, we still were looking and saying, really? It's right there? And then you would have that aha moment. Right. And, you know, obviously it comes with, you know, being from that region and being really good at what he does. Yeah, and he was able to point things out that, you know, otherwise we would never have seen. And it was really a wonderful experience.
Okay, now we get to those guys, those army ants that eat everything in its path.
Everything in their path, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, we saw them.
But you're not frightened when you see them coming.
You know what? I have spoken to people and heard stories where the number has just been daunting, even to a grown individual, a grown human. I did not experience that here, but you can see where that definitely could be the case. In this image, you can see them. They're kind of almost going over a leaf bridge. You know, they're you know, traversing from one area to another. And if you look on either side of the main core of ants, you've got two ants that are facing the other direction, and they're really there to make sure everyone's staying in line, doing what they have to do. I mean, their purpose is to eat and to continue the colony and to you know, become stronger and move on. One thing when I took this image, I hadn't realized there's a very small bug in the very bottom of it. It's just this
little white thing.
Little white bug, and it's kind of looking in the direction of these ants. And it's probably thinking to himself, I'm staying right here, and I'm hoping that they do not see me because they pretty much take over anything that crosses their path. Amazing.
We're going to end with this beautiful picture of the sunset, which is a very unusual image, I think, because everybody's taking red sunsets.
Yeah. It was a wonderful opportunity. This, again, is in Monteverde in the cloud forest, and you can really see in this image the clouds hanging. And a lot of the moisture that is gained from the rainforest in that area is from the moisture that, you know, they get from these clouds. It's a little bit more temperate, it's a little cooler there as opposed to the more, you know, Caribbean and Pacific coast rainforests, and I was just very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. I was able to, you know, get kind of a silhouetting of the trees and get the hanging of the clouds at the same time. So I think it was a nice
cloud formation. There's two kinds of cloud. There's that striated look behind, and then it's like someone said lint coming down from the...
Right, exactly, almost as if it was staged.
Yeah, it was staged.
Right.
Yeah. So I think you do a fabulous job, Karen. Tell me, what's on your schedule next? Where you're traveling to, and what are you doing? Because I know you're doing a lot of things in the area.
Yeah, I am. As far as traveling is concerned, I'm actually going back to Costa Rica at the beginning of next year. I feel there's a few specific bird species that I was not able to capture, and I'm going to be going back to try and get them. And then once I've done that, I'm hoping to put together a show and you know, find a venue for it.
And then you have some teaching that you're doing here?
I do. I have a career day that I'm doing at BOCES of Southern Westchester in Valhalla, their sophomore career day on November 13th. I'm speaking in 2 sessions about photography. And I have an opportunity this coming spring. I'm working with the Girl Scouts to perhaps help them with a portrait you know, landscape kind of workshop that they're doing. So yeah, it's exciting. It absolutely is.
Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, I think this is so interesting. I'm so glad we got to see a lot of it. And I'm so interested in your research. I wish we could sit here for 3 hours and listen to the stories of all. But I hope people check on your website and get in touch with you and come to the shows and get to all that research and enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for watching.